Sir Clement Freud exposed as a paedophile as police search to probe Madeleine McCann links. Sir Clement Freud, the former broadcaster and politician, was exposed on Tuesday night as a paedophile who sexually abused girls as young as 10 for decades. Freud, who died in 2009, spent years abusing a girl who he brought up as a daughter, and violently raped a teenager while he was an MP. His widow, Lady Freud, has apologized to his victims, saying she is shocked, deeply saddened and profoundly sorry for what her husband of 58 years did to them. Detectives investigating the disappearance of Madeleine McCann have been alerted to the fact that Freud had a villa in Praia de Luz, Portugal, the resort where the 3-year-old went missing in 2007. He befriended the McCanns in the weeks after their daughter went missing, entertaining them at his house on 2 occasions and keeping in contact by phone and email. The McCanns are said to be horrified by the discovery that Freud was a paedophile. His family, who include the PR executive Matthew Freud, have said that Freud was not in Portugal at the time of Madeleine's disappearance and that they have not been contacted by police. However, officers from Operation Grange, the ongoing Metropolitan Police investigation into Madeleine's disappearance, are expected to assess the new information before deciding if it may be relevant to the inquiry. Freud was unmasked as a child sex abuser after one of his victims contacted ITV's Exposure documentary team, who also broke the story of Jimmy Savile's paedophilia 4 years ago. Sylvia Woosley said Freud befriended her family in 1948, when he was working at a hotel in the south of France, and started abusing her when she was 10. 4 years later, following a family crisis, her mother asked Freud and his wife Jill if they would look after Mrs. Woosley, and she found herself living under the same roof as her abuser, being brought up as a daughter. The abuse continued until she managed to move away when she was 19. Another woman told ITV that Freud started abusing her in the 1970s, when she was 11, and eventually raped her when she was 18, by which time he was a Liberal MP sharing an office with Cyril Smith, who was also unmasked as a paedophile after his death. The rape was so brutal that his victim bled for a week. Both women's accounts have been passed on to the Metropolitan Police. Lady Freud said, "This is a very sad day for me. I was married to Clement for 58 years and love him dearly. I am shocked, deeply saddened and profoundly sorry for what has happened to these women. I sincerely hope they will now have some peace." Freud, who was knighted in 1987, was best known as a popular panelist on the Radio 4 show Just a Minute from 1967 until his death in 2009. The grandson of the psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud and the brother of the painter Lucian Freud, he worked his way into the heart of British society, and when he died the then Prime Minister, Gordon Brown, was among the mourners at his funeral. His 5 children include Matthew Freud and the broadcaster Emma Freud. A spokesman for the McCann family said they had not until now been aware of Freud's child abuse and were not aware that he had ever been investigated by Operation Grange. Metropolitan Police did not respond to questions about Operation Grange, but former murder squad detective Colin Sutton said, "If this is something that investigators had not been aware of, then it would be certainly a potential line of inquiry that would be worth pursuing. It is not something that ought to be taken lightly, and you would also want to look any connections he may have had in the area at the time." His early life. The grandson of psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud and brother of artist Lucian, Clement was born in Berlin in 1924, but fled to Britain with his Jewish family when the Nazis came to power. After the war, he trained as a chef at London's Dorchester, before being made manager of the glamorous Martinez Hotel in Cannes. His rise to fame. With his finger on the capital's showbiz pulse, he helped propel a number of young acts to stardom and later boasted of being the first person to book the now disgraced entertainer, Rolf Harris. As one of the country's first celebrity chefs, he became a regular on TV and became a household name thanks to a series of dog food adverts in which he starred alongside a bloodhound called Henry. Political power. He later moved into journalism before beginning a 14-year career in the House of Commons in 1973, where he shared an office with Cyril Smith, who was subsequently exposed as a serial paedophile. Accusations of grooming and sexual abuse. 2 separate women came forward to allege that he groomed and sexually abused them when they were young girls. Freud spent years abusing a girl who he brought up as a daughter, and violently raped a teenager while he was an MP. His widow, Lady Freud, has apologized to his victims. Exposure, abused and betrayed, a life sentence. ITV 11:05 p.m. Wednesday.